Hi, my name is Mike Schulte. I'm a data scientist for the consulting company Blue Granite, and I'll be your instructor this semester for IS 607, Data Acquisition and Management. Let's take a look at what this course is going to be like.
Data Acquisition and Management is a first semester course in the Data Analytics Master's Program at the City University New York School of Professional Studies. You can see here how it fits into the overall curriculum, and in particular, the skills that you learn in this class will be used in many of these later classes. We'll be studying a number of topics in this course that have to do with data acquisition and management. First and foremost is the R programming language, which we'll use as our primary tool for interacting with data in this course. We'll be using R to work on extracting data from a source, transforming the data in a meaningful way, and then loading the data into a working environment. This process is commonly known as ETL. We'll also be studying the SQL programming language for some of the same purposes, but in particular we'll be focusing on the use of SQL for data science work. We won't be studying some of the more IT-oriented areas of SQL, such as database architecture and transactions. We'll be focusing on what we need to do in order to extract, transform, and load data. We'll be studying a number of tools in this course. First and foremost is PostgreSQL, which is where we'll work with our relational database. But we'll also be studying MongoDB, which we'll use for document databases, Neo4j, which we'll use for graph databases, and Hadoop, which we'll explore a little bit for big data. And finally, we'll be spending some time talking about data science in its overall context. This is where we'll talk about things like ethics, data privacy, data security. We'll talk about how to build data products, how to go about figuring out the best solution to present, and such things as that. Your responsibilities will include active engagement in the course. We expect you to be involved, regularly participating, and regularly working to move forward in the course material. Each week we'll expect you to complete a quiz. This will be a short assignment that tests you on the very basic skills for that week's material. We'll expect you to complete a slightly more complex programming assignment. This will build on the quiz material and be just a little bit more involved. And then we also have a number of programming projects. We have 5 projects plus a final project. The projects will be worth 70% of your grade, and so it's important to stress that you get started on these early, and that you work on them, and that you turn in whatever you have at the due date. It's far better to turn in a mostly complete project that's not quite perfect than it is to stall and wait for perfection and possibly never get it done. And then finally, you'll have a number of collaborative discussion tasks. And this is where we'll talk about the data science in context. So here's what your week looks like at a glance. On Tuesdays, I'll hold office hours from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern, almost every Tuesday. There are a couple of exceptions. We do have a break week and Thanksgiving week, and then there's one week where I'll be out of town. On Thursdays, your initial discussion task is due, so we expect your first post to be in by end of day Thursday, although that's a bare minimum. It's far better to start early and get the discussion going. On alternate Thursdays, we'll have class meetups, and I'll give you a list of dates here in just a moment. And then on Sunday, your quizzes are due by the end of the day. Those are the short quiz assignments. And your discussion response tasks and any deliverables associated with the discussion are also due by end of day Sunday. And then finally, on Tuesday of the following week, your more complex programming assignments are also due. So even though it's at the beginning of the week here on Tuesday, that weekly programming assignment, that's actually for the previous week's material. The course meetups are required, and if that poses a challenge to you for this time and day, please talk to me early so that we can make alternate arrangements. But we do expect you to show up, and these are the 8 dates for the course meetups. So these are roughly every other Thursday from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Office hours will be held most Tuesdays except for September 30 and November 25 from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. and they'll be held using GoToMeeting. Now, unlike the meetups where we do expect you to attend and participate, office hours are optional. They're there for you to get extra help as needed. You can also make appointments for office hours if you can't make this time. I'm happy to work with you one-on-one at another time. Okay, so what should you do to get started? Well, first you should read the complete syllabus and make sure you understand all of the details of how this course will work. Right? Ask if you have any questions. You should get your environment set up, which is to say install R, install RStudio, install PostgreSQL, and get your GitHub account set up. It's far better to get these things going early so that we can problem shoot any troubles that you have. And please do reach out to me as you have trouble with these things. Make sure you do the first week's reading assignment, which is chapters 1 through 3 in the Landers book on R, as well as an R style guide from Google for R programming. Complete the first week's programming assignment. This week's assignment is meant just to test to make sure you have your environment set up. So there are some tasks we ask you to complete. And then get yourself introduced on the discussion board and start talking with your classmates on the discussion board. And that's what we want you to do for week 1. So let's get to it.